Sam's cup of tea. Sam's cup of tea.
Hello and welcome back to Sam's Cup of Tea. Today I'll be reviewing Bohemian Rhapsody, directed by Bryan Singer, and it's the biopic about Queen, or probably more specifically Freddie Mercury. Now, going into this, I really wasn't expecting a lot. I certainly wasn't intending to see it in the cinema. That said, I'm a big fan of Queen. I grew up with the music. My parents used to play it, and I love the movie Highlander, which I highly recommend you see. I'll do a video about that. But Queen did the music for that, Who Wants to Live Forever, and a few other songs. I really enjoyed this movie. It's really enjoyable. Obviously Bryan Singer directed it, which I didn't know going in that he directed it, but in hindsight I can see his style in it. Freddie Mercury is played by Rami Malek. Or is it Rami Malek? He's really good, really good. He's the standout performance, and the movie centers completely around him. There is barely a scene, or if I'm in my memory, there's barely a scene without him within the center of that. And he's just very strong. And what keeps you engaged throughout the whole film is watching his sort of character arc. Now, I knew a lot about Queen, or I thought I did, certainly the broad strokes, but I didn't know about this story. I didn't know about certain big plot events. Now, I'm not sure how much they're embellished and how true some of them are, but in a dramatic sense, it really worked. And the film, without spoiling anything, the film doesn't take you up to his death. It takes you up to Live Aid, the Live Aid event, which is very famous performance. But the movie does a good job of finding the right places, throughout Queen's journey. What I will say is, tonally, it's a little bit all over the place. Sometimes the movie feels like it wants to go for a very realistic, gritty depiction. And not gritty, but realistic, like true to life. And then other times the movie feels like more of a parody. For example, the EMI boss. I think the EMI boss is played by Mike Myers, and he's very comical, and it works. It's funny, but then sometimes that's contrasted with very dramatic, very serious deadpan moments as well. And you've got those bits that sit together. So sometimes it seems like a very vibrant, almost parody of real life, of what happened with Queen, and then sometimes it feels like, oh no, we want to tell what it was really like to sit in the room in those moments. It does both of those things well. It's just that sometimes you feel like, how am I supposed to be reacting to this? Am I supposed to be taking this as this is really like close to life, or this is just a parody? But maybe sort of halfway through the film, I sort of caught myself thinking, oh, this, would that have really happened? And then I just let go of that, because I thought, Freddie, this is a tribute to Freddie Mercury and Queen. And he really enjoyed, he was a vibrant person, a colourful person. So was the band, so were the songs. And this movie is that. It's full of life. And the thing I was surprised about was that they did explore a lot of Freddie's darker side, and a lot of the things that Freddie was allegedly involved in. I thought that they would skirt around that, and I didn't even expect them to really directly touch upon it. But they do very much show that he sort of fell off the wagon, so to speak, and got in with the wrong crowd. And that's very cleverly done, and it's very honestly portrayed, in the sense of the movie stops just putting him on this pedestal and really treats him like a flawed human being, which I didn't expect, because at the beginning it seems like he can do no wrong and he's just this kind of angelic figure. But it's very enjoyable to watch that arc. The rest of the cast, I mean, Rami Malek's amazing, obviously. Mary Austin, plays his sort of love interest, his first wife/girlfriend, She's okay. Lucy Boyton, I think, plays it. She's okay. There were a few points in it where I felt like she was a little bit just two dimensional, but anyway, but she's involved in a few very touching scenes with him when he realizes he's gay, and that really kind of brings out his character and the changes that he's going through. The rest of the band, the one person that really stood out, other than obviously Rami Malek, was Gwilym Lee as Brian May. He is just like the spitting image of Brian May, and he sounds just like him. He captures him perfectly, absolutely perfectly. There are other characters in it that they're decent, but they don't jump out to me. They didn't really have a lasting impact. Obviously, this is a biopic, and Freddie Mercury had an amazing voice and was an amazing performer. And I was very skeptical as a musician myself, skeptical and interested to see how they would do that. And they handle it very well. This is one of the best biopic portrayals in terms of how they make it work. There are times when I think most of the singing, or all of the singing, is the audio of Freddie Mercury. But sometimes, instead of just as soon as they go on stage, it being like a pre-recorded perfect track, it's like they found the audio from Freddie Mercury playing live, so there's a bit of imperfection, and he's kind of lip synced to that, and it works very well because it's just very well synchronized, and you don't really question it. After about 10 minutes, you're just like, oh, this is the way he sings, and he embodies that character so well that it's very very well done. The period, there's a few issues with timing. I mean, it jumps around a lot when the band get together, and then all of a sudden they're just huge. That's a very kind of jarring jump. And obviously it covers distance at some points very, very quickly, and then other points it will just stay in like one era, like one day or 1 week for a long time. So that can be a little bit jarring, but I think this does Queen justice in a lot of ways. A lot of the music is shown in it. There are many songs that are played, so you get to hear a lot of the range of songs and how they come up with it. One thing that really impressed me was the way in which Bryan Singer directed the parts in the studio. It was one of the first times I've seen that in a movie portray producing songs in the studio in a way that kind of almost mirrors what it feels like, getting things and bashing them on things and everyone getting involved and talking. It made it exciting for the audience because 70%, 80% of the audience don't know what it's like to record a song, don't know what it's like to be in a studio, and it really kind of brings it to the mainstream. Like, this is what it feels, this is what they had to go through. It gives you a big appreciation for how they created those songs, and also how they changed their sound and how songs were created. Of course, the movie's title is Bohemian Rhapsody, so we get to see sort of how that was created, and there are some really funny, genuinely funny bits. Some bits with the recording of that, and the EMI boss, of course, is just like straight out of a comedy sketch. It does take a dark turn about 3/4 of the way through, and it does change its tone quite a bit, which surprised me. But I think in most biopics, like Walk the Line, they all seem to have this moment of falling from grace and then coming back at the end, and it definitely follows that sort of generic pattern. Technically, the movie looks great, especially the Live 8 concert at the end, which was a lot of CGI and a lot of like trying to recreate the huge concert, and that's done very well, very faithfully. And I think that if you're a fan of Queen, you'll like this, you'll enjoy this movie, I think. And if you're not a fan of Queen, again, you'll probably enjoy it. I saw this movie in Korea, and it surprised me how well it seems to be performing. I mean, people I know who are Korean who didn't even know who Queen was, a month ago, are going on about how great Queen are and posting pictures of Brian May in a concert in 1983 or something. And it's like, this movie's had a real impact with people, even in like Asia, which if I'd been in England, I would never have thought that they would kind of get the references or get the, kind of get into the character. So it just shows you how well of a job that Bryan Singer's done. So overall, I think this movie is a success, and I would recommend going to see it. Obviously, I give my movies a score out of 5, so I think I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. It's definitely worth seeing. It's not perfect. Tonally, it's a little bit all over the place. There are some sort of performances that I wasn't as huge about, but Bryan Singer did a really good job of recreating some scenes. It's funny. Rami Malek's amazing. So is Gwilym Lee as Brian May. The music's fantastic, of course. And it's just a good, enjoyable movie to see with your friends or family. So I highly recommend going to see it. Thanks for watching. My name's Sam, and this is Sam's Cup of Tea. Please subscribe below for more videos. See you next time.